Okay.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in today. Today we are doing Caprese chicken and with eggplant and orzo pasta. So we're going to start with the orzo and eggplant pasta first, so that way we can get that cooking, and then we'll work on the caprese salad or the caprese chicken once the side dish is going. So we need a cup and onion. We're going to take the stem end of this off and leave the root end of it on. So it's going to take the top of the onion off. Put it cut side down and cut it into half through it. We're going to peel the onion, however you can do it. And we don't need that, so we'll go ahead and throw that away here in just a second. And then we're going to dice up our onion. You can do this as big or as small as you like, but when you look at the onion, you can kind of see those vertical lines that go through it. And we're going to cut with those lines, just not through the root of the onion. So we're just going to chop this up. You just need about, a medium-ish dice on this. You can do it bigger or smaller if you like. Just depends how big a chunk of onion you like on your in your dishes. So we got half of the onion done, and we'll go ahead and do the other half as well. And I went ahead and added some oil to my skillet, and I have it preheating right now. So once we get this onion chopped up, we are going to throw in our onion into the pan, and it can start cooking down. Got our onion in there. I can already start hearing it sizzle a little bit. That's good. We got a nice hot pan. And then we need one bell pepper. I still have a few baby bell peppers floating around. So I'm going to use about 4 of these little guys instead of one regular bell pepper. And so just going to chop the tops of these off, cut them all in half. And then we'll take the seeds of them out. These aren't spicy, even though they look like the size of jalapenos or something spicy. They're just baby bell peppers, so they'll be okay. Again, you can just use a regular bell pepper. I like red for this. You could do green, yellow, orange, purple, variegated, whatever kind of bell pepper you got. Get the seeds of them out. If you don't get all the seeds, it's okay. The eggplant has seeds in it, so you won't really be able to tell the difference. So we got the seeds out of these peppers. And we're just going to throw those away as well. Alright. And again, we're just going to dice these up, and then we'll add it to the pan with our onions once we get all of our peppers diced up. This is a fun one because I went to the farmer's market yesterday and I was looking for something a little different to do, and they had these beautiful eggplants there. They had, the long skinny ones, they had purple ones, they had white ones. It's a great time of year for eggplant, and so we're going to have some fun cooking with it today. And a lot of people say you got to salt your eggplant first so it gets all the bitterness out. I went ahead and chopped the purple one a little bit. The purple one is just slightly bigger than this white one. And with the smaller ones, you don't need to salt that. What happens when they get bigger, they get a little more bitter. That's when you salt them to kind of get the bitter out. The smaller ones that you can find right now, they're not that bad, and you don't really need to salt them to make them good. So we'll finish chopping up these peppers here and get them into the pan with our onions. And I'm just going to get my board to cook right down and get these pepper seeds out of there or off it. We're going to need to add some tomato to our little saute here as well. And we're going to have tomatoes in our caprese chicken here in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all the tomatoes, push a couple off to the side to use for later. So I was going to cut this in half, and we'll use this one for our eggplant and orzo stuff. I haven't taken the core out of this yet, because when I dice it up, I'll just take that diced piece out of the core, or diced piece of tomato with the core in it, and throw it away, so that way we don't waste too much of the tomato. So we got a nice little dice here. I'll find that core, put it off to the side. Do the same with the other side here. And if you don't have a sharp knife to cut through your tomatoes and you get some resistance with it, don't smash your tomatoes. Get a serrated knife, rather it be a steak knife or a bread knife, and the serrated knife will go through your tomato easily. I sharpened my knife yesterday, so that way it's nice and sharp and can cut through a tomato easily. So we'll chop this guy up, find that core. Core's in two pieces in that one, push it off to the side. We'll take this half guy here, cut him up, give him a little dice, and he'll be ready to go in our dish here in a second too. That's just a tomato stem that's sticking to my finger. And if you got one that has a stem on it still, you can kind of just give it a little twist. Usually you can give it a little twist and it'll come right off. That one's being stubborn. So we'll just cut them out when we get to it. There it is. And I'll use this one for my Caprese chicken. So I'm just going to cut this in the kind of thin slices and set them off to the side here. Do the same with this side, or this one. We'll cut the core out of that. Put that off to the side. Give this a little stir. It's starting to smell good. You can never go wrong with, cooking onions and peppers. I think most anything you cook down with onions smells great. Bacon smells great with the onions. Carrots and celery smells good with onions. Garlic does. I would say, why don't we make that into a cologne, but I don't think anyone would wear it. So we'll go ahead and cut this tomato up for our Caprese as well. Just giving it some thin slices, so that way we can stuff our chicken breast. I'm going to show you all a neat way to do that. Go ahead and cut this one into slices. And cut the core off that. And put it off to the side. And we'll throw these guys away. Now I need to cut my other eggplant for our dish. The difference between the white and the purple eggplant is the white one doesn't have as many seeds inside of it, and sometimes it can be a little creamier when it cooks down. So that way it's fun. It's fun having, two different kinds of eggplant in there. Because you can see, there's not very many seeds inside here, but then you look at the cut up purple one, and there's, a bunch of seeds in that one, which you can eat and not have to worry about anything. So don't worry about the seeds inside the eggplant. So we got our eggplant sliced, and I'm going to julienne it up and kind of make some french fries out of it so it's easier to dice. Now we got a nice diced eggplant. Cut that little piece there. We'll put in the bowl over here with the other eggplant, so we'll add that to our onions and peppers here in just a second. Go ahead and get this last bit of eggplant chopped up. And there we go. And we'll add this to our onions and peppers, so that way it can start cooking down. Give everything a nice little stir. So we can get, everything going, put it up to medium high like it should have been. And we are set for a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and chop up my garlic, because we're going to add some garlic to this in a little bit. I already got it peeled. It's going to put it underneath my knife. Give it a little smash. Give it a smash. Give it a smash. And we can start chopping up our garlic to go in. Kind of bring it all back to a pile. Chopping it all up. Making sure to keep our other fingers away from the sharp point, because knives hurt when you chop your finger. Alright, we got our garlic chopped up. We'll go ahead and add our garlic to that. Get it all mixed up. This recipe calls for basil, and I got some basil for it, but I had a little oregano sitting in my fridge too, so I'm going to add some oregano to this just because it's in my fridge and I didn't use it before it goes bad. So I'm going to go ahead and chop up a little oregano for this dish as well. You don't have to put it in there. The fun thing about recipes is they're kind of just guidelines. You can add and subtract as you see fit. I think oregano would go great with this dish just because it has the more Italian-y flavors, and oregano goes great with that stuff. So we got about four sprigs of oregano. Just plucking them off the stems. The stems aren't very edible, they're kind of woody, so they're not very good to eat. So we're just going to give this a quick little chop here. And since oregano can kind of take a little bit of abuse, we're going to go ahead and add the oregano in as well. The basil is a little more delicate herb, so we're going to add that in more towards the end of the dish. That way it doesn't just brown up and kind of look bad. So we're going to give this a stir. It's already smelling good. Our onions are starting to get a little soft. Our peppers are looking good. Once we let this cook down a little bit more, we'll add our tomatoes and a little balsamic vinegar, and it'll be ready to go. I want to go ahead and chop up a little bit of basil now, so that way we can use the rest for our Caprese chicken. So I got a little basil here. Just going to give it a quick chiffonade. That's kind of just cutting into strips, kind of like you would with cabbage for coleslaw. So I'm just rolling this up to make it easier to chop. And I'm just going to give this nice little chop here. And I'll put that off to the side to use later. Alright. Just going to put this in the bowl. I had eggplant in, so that way it's out of the way. And I did a couple of these before, and these mozzarella slices were just a hair too big, so I'm going to cut this mozzarella in half. And I got the pre-sliced fresh mozzarella, and it's going to go great with our chicken and our tomatoes. I'm just kind of separating it a little bit so it's easier to work with in a second. And we'll go ahead and chop the rest of that. That way it is ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and add my tomatoes, that way I can just get them out of the way. So I can do everything I need to do with this chicken and not have to worry. So we got tomatoes in there. I'm going to clean up that bit of juice real quick. Give this a nice stir. Get everything in there. Now with some gloves on so I can handle this chicken. Helps if you don't rip the glove in half when you put it on, but it happens. So we're going to do kind of what's called a Hasselback cut on these chicken breasts, where we're going to kind of just cut some slices into it, and then we'll stuff it. You see it usually done with potatoes or butternut squash or zucchini, but we're going to do it with chicken. So all we're going to do is we're going to take our chicken breast, and I always like doing this at an angle, so that way you can kind of stuff stuff at an angle. We're just cutting into the chicken breast, but not all the way. So you can see, it's still connected, but we got a nice deep cut in there. So we're going to give it a couple cuts on each of the chicken breasts. I wouldn't recommend doing this with the chicken cutlets at the store because they're already pretty thin. So it's a little hard to do these Hasselback cuts on, just because there's not really much chicken breast there to do. So we got our chicken ready to go. Just need to season with a little bit of olive oil, salt, pepper, and garlic powder. I want to keep one hand kind of clean so I can grab everything and use the other hand to kind of mix everything up with. Make sure we get a little olive oil on everybody. Get it all mixed up here. Rub it around. Got a little salt. A little black pepper. And a little garlic powder. This is going to give us some nice flavor on our chicken, and then when we add our tomatoes and our mozzarella and our basil, it's going to be even better. So we got a baking sheet. You can line it with either tin foil or parchment paper, whatever you might like. And basically it's going to take a slice of tomato, put it in every cut. The smaller ones should go into the smaller slices. You can put the bigger ones in the bigger slices. So we got our tomatoes ready to go. That guy's kind of big, so we'll cut him in half. We got our tomatoes in there. Now we'll take our cheese, put it in there with each tomato slice. This is a great way to kind of sneak vegetables into your meal. I mean, I know you can see it, but you have cheese and chicken kind of stuck with it, so maybe they'll eat the vegetables because there's no way around it really. We'll go ahead and put these on a baking sheet. And we'll take our basil here. I should have bought a little more than one pack, but oh well. That guy's kind of a big piece, so we'll cut him in half. And we're just going to stuff him right into the chicken like we did the tomatoes and the cheese. This is going to give us some great flavor, and it'll look nice whenever we get everything done. Picking off all the basil leaves here. Make sure you get those little ones, they still have flavor too. And get our basil all in there. And we'll throw this guy into a preheated oven at 425 for or 400 degrees for 25 minutes. Get this out of the way. Then we're going to throw these in the oven real quick. So our eggplant and everything is starting to look pretty good. Starting to get a little color on it. All you do is we're going to deglaze it with a little balsamic vinegar. Need about, what did we say for balsamic vinegar? Need about a tablespoon of balsamic vinegar. Get a little extra in there, it won't hurt you. Just be careful when you do it and you stand over it, those vapors are going to get you a little bit. And then we're going to add some orzo pasta to this. Just cook it to the package instructions. I went ahead and did that. So we got a little bit of orzo here. We got about half a pack of orzo. It's just it's a little grain of pasta that's kind of shaped like rice. If you can't find orzo, just do whatever small pasta you can find. You can do couscous and this would be great. You can leave it out altogether and this would be, great. Excuse me. We're going to add our basil to it now. Get a little salt and pepper in there. There's some pepper. I like a lot of pepper, so we'll add, a little extra. Get it all mixed up. If you don't oil your orzo and let it sit for a little while, it'll kind of stick together, so make sure you get it all broken up. That will be good to go. And I cheated a little bit and I went ahead and did a chicken breast before the show, so that way y'all didn't have to sit here and wait for it. So you kind of see how the cheese kind of melts on top. And the basil gets a little crunchy and the tomatoes cook down a little bit. This is going to be a nice little dinner here. We can take some of our eggplant orzo here, put on a plate, take our chicken breast, put it on here. I want to get all that nice shredded cheese because it's going to be delicious. Put that right on top there. And then we'll get a little balsamic glaze across the top. This is just, store-bought balsamic glaze. And dinner is ready. You can do this Hasselback technique with, different vegetables in there. You can do different cheeses in there. I've seen people do it with, baked potatoes and they put butter in between everything with a little bit of cheddar cheese and it turned out great. And again, you don't have to have, all the shredded cheese around it. I let mine kind of cool and I did cut the cheese in half the first time. So just kind of watch your cheese slices when you put them in there. That's why there's a lot of extra cheese around it. These won't have it as much, but I hope you guys give this a try and you like it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.